What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Blaklist podcast. Today, we got a special guest hailing out of Central Florida. Jody Mathews. He has created Sober is Swaggy, has about 2,300 members in about 5 different countries. He's battled addiction for about 24 years. We are very, very excited to talk with him today. He has just from the brief time that I've talked to him, has an amazing story. So, Jody, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your day, man, and to come talk to us today.
Yeah,
Man, I'll go ahead. Sorry.
No, we're just saying we're excited. Thank you. I know when I heard your story, I was like, I want to have him on. Thank you for being here today.
Oh man, I'm very excited to be on the Blaklist podcast. Like I said, it's been a long journey, and I'm ready to share my story with you guys, and just of overcoming addiction and alcoholism, and talk about my higher power.
Definitely. Yeah. Bonnie, is your microphone on? It shows it's muted.
There.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah, no, Bonnie had hit me up one day and was like, yeah, you gotta hear this guy. So I'm definitely appreciate. I was telling Jody before, Bonnie, because I asked how you guys linked up. He said TikTok, and I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about TikTok. That's Bonnie's area. So I definitely appreciate her doing that, definitely. But yeah, man. So why don't you just kind of, go back to the beginning, tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you come from, and we'll go from there.
All right, perfect, man. My name is Jody Mathews. I am 45 years old. I'm a local resident of Central Florida, here in Winter Garden, Florida. My family history goes way, way back. My granddad moved down here in 47 from Toccoa, Georgia. And we just, this is what we've called home for many, many years. And for myself, growing up as a young boy, I was always into sports, was a very good athlete, was blessed in that matter, was a great football player, baseball player, basketball player. Grew up in a great home. My parents are still married today after 51 years. I have two young sons, Hunter, 21, and Logan, 19. Both amazing kids. Have watched me fight addiction, fight alcoholism, but also in the last 26 months have watched their dad overcome a nasty, nasty disease, and very blessed that them boys have not turned out like I was, but are both hard workers, going to school, college at night, online, and trying to become successful men of the world. For myself, I'll go back to the first time I ever drank alcohol. I was 13 years old. I went to my uncle's house here in Ocoee. God bless my uncle. He passed away in May of this year. Drank beer with my cousin that night. I remember I drank 9 natural light beers and was pretty pummeled. The first time I ever felt that feeling of kind of lost control of myself and laughing and cutting up and kind of like that feeling. Well, I didn't really drink too much after that. We got in high school. Didn't drink too much until probably 16. And then once 16, I could drive. At 16, I started growing a beard. And I've had a beard ever since. And I didn't have a hard time going into these stores. I was always a big guy to buy alcohol and stuff like that. Or I had an older brother that was 5 years older that would always hook us up too with the liquor and stuff. So, but in high school, man, we would drink on the weekends. We were the weekend warrior type guys, jocks, whatever you want to call it, the cool crowd. Very blessed in every which way back in high school. But the drinking started then, and our drinking would get out of hand on the weekends, Friday night, Saturday night. And then we started messing with marijuana, and marijuana become a big part of everything we did. We had even smoked some before our games on Friday night before football to kind of relax us, to get our mind right. And I just had a high school career that I could go back and do over and over. My high school career was good. I enjoyed the beer, enjoyed the liquor, enjoyed the weed, enjoyed the girlfriends I had, enjoyed my company. Didn't really know that and think back then that it would have ever portrayed into my future of how I would live and how I would live for over 24 years. I was blessed enough at my senior year in high school to get a football scholarship at Lindenwood University in St. Charles, Missouri. And I went there for a year and played college football. And then that's when my drinking and alcohol being free from the house and not worry around your parents and kind of getting to pick your own choices of life kind of really got out of hand. At Lindenwood, I had first was introduced to some acid. I had done acid back then and was just blown away at the effects that the acid had given me. A lot of alcohol, a lot of weed, and it carried on over that I played my freshman year, and then I come home for the summer, and I didn't want to go back to school. When I come home, I had really kept partying hard, and I had told my family that I just wanted to go to a community college and work. But in all reality, I had other plans, you know. With everything going on back then in my life, I look back now and I think, man, if I could do some things over, I would have went back for my sophomore year of college. But I didn't. So when I got back home after my freshman year, I started working at Disney with a great friend of mine, and we was only making like $275 a week, and we worked out there, and that's what introduced me to selling drugs. We were potheads, and some of the pest control guys out there were from Vietnam, and they smoked heavy pot from the PSTD, I think it's called, and all the trauma from Vietnam, and they loved pot. So what we would do, man, is we would buy a QP, which they called it back then. You get 4 ounces we'd get it for $200, and then we would smoke an ounce or two, you know. But then the guys would buy a quarter or an ounce for $100. So we were making $50, and then we were like, man, this is nuts, you know. Like, I'm only bringing home $275 a week. So it just started clicking at me. So next thing I know, we went from buying QPs to half pounds to pounds, and the money was coming in kind of nuts, you know. And then we were just thinking, me and my buddy, like, wow, man. So what happened, about a year and a half went by, and I had started to introduce myself to the cocaine and ecstasy type of side of drugs. And it started to get kind of nuts for myself. I had some buddies I grew up with that were some big time dope boys around here. And me being a bigger guy, they would always ask me, hey, man, won't you ride with me, be like security? And then I would get free drugs, and they would pay me so much a night to hang out with them. And it worked out back then all in my favor of becoming a super drug addict and dope boy. So at 21 years old, I was still living at home back then. My mom and dad kind of understood what was going on and was like, you're 21, you still have eligibility in college. Why don't you walk on at Valdosta State University and play football again? And back then I did work out. I was about 6'3", 330 at 21. So I was a big boy, and I was very strong. And so I agreed with them and moved to my aunt and uncle's house in Crawford County, Georgia. My great aunt and uncle's house, my Aunt Avis and Uncle Roy, to train for football for 5 months. And it worked out good. I left all the drugs and alcohol back home. I got up there. I started working out really hard, got really strong, was going to walk on at Valdosta State, and got to class and got up there for football, and got in some good trouble up there. Was arrested and never made it to the football field. Got out of jail. I wound up staying at school at Valdosta State, and for the next 6 months, it was just a party like I've never partied before. And it really put me in a spiral with life. I was kind of depressed, so I would cover everything up doing ecstasy and shrooms. And back then we'd go pick the shrooms out of the field in Valdosta, Georgia. My life was just spiraling out of control really fast, but I would cover it all up with drugs and alcohol, you know. So I remember coming home around Christmas time, and I had really let my family down and got depressed. But I wound up meeting my wife, my 2 sons, Hunter and Logan's mom, and everything was good at the beginning. But I had a great job. I got my CDL and started being a beer man. And so, but at nighttime, I was a hellraiser. I got hooked back up with the boys selling drugs. Would get a couple pounds a week, about 8 to 9 ounces of cocaine. And I would coach Little League, Pop Warner. I was what they call a chameleon. People didn't realize what I was doing. It was always like how I got so much money. I always had the big gold chains, the fancy cars, big rims. And I bought my first house in 2004 and was young, 23 years old. Lindsay just had our first son, Hunter, and she knew everything that was going on, really didn't accept it, but I ran my house. I was a typical male, very verbally abusive, had even had some domestic violence coming home drinking. Very not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed to talk about it because it needs to be talked about. And she had our other son, Logan. And after that, man, when times would come home after work, I would work 80 hours a week. And then I was never there for Lindsay. And she was a good mom, but I was just never home. And we wound up divorcing when Logan was 6 and Hunter was 2.5. And that's when really things got out of hand, because she kind of back then would keep me in check. My parents did, and having them little boys did too. But the selling drugs was out of hand, and then I made anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 a year back then, but I made a lot more money selling dope. But I always kept a good job, so I was low key. So how is this man doing it? Plus, I had guys that kind of sold the drugs up under me at the different bars and situations I worked at. So after Lindsay and I divorced, we sold the house. I got an apartment here in Winter Garden, and things got really out of hand for myself. I was selling a lot of drugs, making a lot of money, and then I started using a lot. I thought if I went to sleep that I would miss out on a dollar. So the cocaine, my nose would be clogged. So then I would cook up the cocaine and started smoking the cocaine. I would put it in my weed, my blunts. It was nuts, man. I went from making a lot of money to using a lot, and then I got robbed a few times from selling dope. Made some really rough decisions in life as far as going to pick up dope or going here, having guns put to my head, being robbed. Just having second chance of life early in life, and still didn't care to change. Man, I tell you what, all that stuff kept running and running and running till 2007. From about 2004 to 2007, I ran hard. And I was talking about here to Miami. The dope game was out of control. Ecstasy. Friends of ours were getting 10,000 ecstasy pills at a time. Bricks of cocaine. We're having to count out $70, $80, $150,000 in cash to make sure these boys get paid. Just totally overwhelmed with anxiety and just thinking, holy shit, man, people are knocking on the door coming from Miami. We even had a guy, our buddy, that had done some bad stuff down in Miami, and had robbed some Haitians, and they wind up cutting his genitals off and shooting him in the back of the head and taking a picture with his genitals in his mouth.
Oh my gosh.
So it was things like that for me that opened my mind. Right then, I was like, man, hey, buddy, and God bless my buddy that I lived with back then. He OD'd. I won't say any names, but he's not here no more. But he was really huge in the dope game. I was like his right-hand man. And I remember packing my shit at that apartment, calling my parents and, hey, I'm kind of nervous. I've never robbed anybody like that, but these dudes ain't playing. And I wanted to come home. Well, I straightened up, I'd say maybe 3 or 4 months, but still partying. And well, when I got back home, the shit really got out of control here in my own town, because everybody knew who I was, and so they would all start calling me. And that's when I started going to each local bar and serving out of the restaurants and doing my thing, and started making a lot of crazy money. I was what they were called. I was known as maybe like an enforcer. If there was a problem, they would call me and this and that. And I love putting my hands on people. I loved bar fighting. I had so many arrests, so many dumb things at each bar. I'd even took the cops on a foot chase. Just things that I look back upon in my life and you just kind of shake your head. But I look now at the reason I went through every chase and every obstacle and everything that you go through in life, But in 2007 was bad. I was already on felony probation from a bar fight with some major charges. I was so used to me having money and my family helping getting me out of problems that I was like FTW, the police, FTW, the world. I'll pay myself out of way. And I lived that life, like it was I wasn't like they say a Don dope boy, but I there was no issue with having money or doing whatever you wanted to, staying in five-star hotels anywhere, and Daytona Beach, Cocoa, going to the Lidos and the strip clubs and acting like we're somebody we truly ain't, you know. And so many arrests. And then in '07, I was on felony probation, wasn't doing what I was supposed to, and then caught a major domestic violence charge with my girlfriend back then. And Winter Garden PD had been after me for years. And I knew they were after me, but I always outsmarted them, because if they pulled me over, I never had dope in my car. If I did have anything, it was my personal. And you know how you can put it up under your stuff and all that on your body. So I'm thinking, man, they're not going to, find my stuff, because I always had my own stuff. But in '07, when I caught that major charge with the less than 20 charges I had before and being arrested 10 or 15 times already back then, it's what they call like stacking charges on you. So when I went to jail in '07, March of '07, man, I was looking at some major issues and some major time. And like my bubble had been busted, and I remember them coming to me after going to charge, because I had like kidnapping with strangulation with aggravated, like great bodily harm, some serious charges and some very embarrassing charges if you look back. And just wasn't the person I was, born to be. But you don't realize all that, man, until you're behind that bar, until you're sitting in there having to make a collect call to your house if they're going to answer it, to see if your homeboys are truly your homeboys, if they're going to come to your aid. And I fought these charges for a hard 9 months in the county jail. And I remember my first offer, you guys, man, was 45 years. Because I had violated felony probation. And I'm thinking 45 years, man. I'm 29 years old, but I was thinking about all the dumb stuff I had done. I had even done some home invasions and different stuff and tied people up back then and some stuff that I look back now and I'm thinking, man, I didn't get caught for those. So maybe God's telling me, hey, man, you do the crime, you do the time, and then it makes you think. And then, but when I was in jail, you guys, man, I picked up the Bible. And I've always grew up in Southern Baptist, and church was real boring for me. But I met some great friends and family that I'm still friends with today to help save my life. And I'll get in that in a little bit. And but I picked up that Bible back then. I remember sitting in that cell thinking 45 years. That's my first offer. They're like, oh, they're going to come low. And I'm thinking, man, just to have a sheet that says that blew my mind. So I'm like, man, I can't tell my family and friends this. I remember really getting depressed in there and thinking, man, my life's fixing to come to an end. I'm never coming home. My sons were young, 7 and 5, I think. And I remember getting a letter in there. I want to share this letter with you guys. And it was from my son. Hunter had turned 8 years old. And I don't mean to get emotional or depressed or I mean, not depressed, but I may shed a tear because this stuff really hits me hard, man. And I don't have a problem being emotional, as you guys know. I recover out loud. But my son had sent me, he turned, believe he turned 8 years old. And he had sent me a letter March 15th. He turned at 8. And he sent me a letter when I was in jail. And it was about 3 weeks after I was in jail. And he had wrote a letter, man. And he had told me, he was like, man, Dad, I miss you so much. Do you miss me? And stuff like that. And it hit me so hard sitting there, man, reading that. And it was that time right there. I was like, man, I have truly been just the shittiest father and shittiest dad and shittiest husband. And I'm embarrassing my family. I've embarrassed my mom and dad. And my mom and dad are such great people. I've embarrassed my brother. I mean, what more can a person do in life instead of embarrassment? Man, we don't think about none of this stuff until you're there. Like, I would have never thought of that, if I would have never put my hands on my ex and stuff like that and been arrested for, I went to the 5th floor of the main unit of Orange County Jail, which is red suit, which is because I had life charges, like, life sentence charges. And I just hit me, man. And I remember picking up that Bible and flipping it in there and just because I always remember Philippians 4:13. I have it tattooed on my arm to this day. And I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I remember being in church with my granny and her always telling me, you going to heaven, you going to hell, because you know how Southern Baptists are. And I used to blow that stuff away, man, and think Granny's crazy, but they always had a point, man. And I truly believe to this day that I'm still here for some of my granny's prayers, both of them. And I remember sitting in there and reading that. I flipped it to Philippians 4:13, and I couldn't believe it. And in jail, man, while I was in jail, I had this thing pick and poked on my arm. It's absolutely horrendous, but I put an old wooden sign and I had it redone, but it means so much to me because I was going through such rough times back then. And like I couldn't hang myself or anything, but I was thinking, man, if you could truly end your life right now or go to sleep and just say, hey, I don't want to be embarrassment no more to any of my family and the things I've done and making the news the wrong way, I would have done that. I would have off myself. But I remember reading that Bible verse that day, and you know what, man, I started walking. I was real heavy when I got in there, about 400 pounds. Just a big bully. And I started really walking in there, going out to rec, getting my mind right, started going to Bible study in the jail, doing things I'd never done before, man, and really got close with my higher power. Really got close with Jesus, man, and God, and that's my God of understanding. And I just want to tell people that's who helped me. Like, you may find a different God, but Jesus Christ and God helped save my life, and that's just my God of understanding. And I don't down any other recovery, any other higher power, Buddhist, Islam, or if you love the sun God, man, whatever works for you guys, let it work for you. But mine's Jesus Christ, and I'll always say that.
Amen.
And man, I remember being in there, guys, and I remember coming back with another offer. I had a paid lawyer, and it was 17 years. And I'm like, wow, man, that's a lot better than 45. But I kept my head straight. I kept my nose on the ground. I kept praying and praying and praying and saying, God, whatever you have for me, I know I'm going to come home one day. Just whatever it is, I'm going to stand with you and go with you. Well, man, I did that and did that and did that, you guys, and got down to about 320 pounds, lost like 80 pounds in a few months in there, man, was eating right, and really got my mind right. And then the state had come to me with the last offer. We're going to court in about 10 days. And my lawyer called and said, Jody, man, we got it down to 84 months. And I'm going 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84 months, dude. I said, 7 years?
Wow.
So I had to sit there for 10 days, y'all, thinking the judge, I'm on violation of major felony probation with new charges, stack of new charges on a stack of charges. So my points were 84 months, 7 years. So, man, I remember just really getting emotional, calling my family. They're all like, man, we're going to come support you at court. I remember my granddad, man, he was probably 85 or 86 at the time, man. They got to court, and I remember seeing my granddad sitting there. And I'm like, man, I can't sign this 7 years in front of my granddad, man. My granny was really sick, and we live on we call it the compound. My grandparents' property is right there, and my family property here. And so I was there every day with my grandparents, man. They helped raise me. Like, I was always there. And to see my granddad sitting there that day at court, I'm like, man. And my lawyer's like, man, we can't sign 7 years. We're going to have to plead to the judge. But the judge usually goes with the state every time. Whatever the state offers, you can almost guarantee Judge McDonald went with the state. He was a very hard judge. He was a felony violation probation judge here in Central Florida. And everyone, you would come back from that and just be like, this dude is crazy, man. I mean, he loved giving out time. I mean, I want to say that he gave out 1,000,000 years or something they used to say. I mean, Buddy gave out time to teach you a lesson. And I knew, man, at 29 years old that I may have a possibility of not coming home until I'm 36, 37, 38 years old. And I just couldn't fathom it, man. And I remember standing there in court and my case come up and I go up. And I remember, and I had wrote a letter and to the judge, and I couldn't even really get it out. And the judge asked the state said, yes, sir, Jody Mathews, we would like offer him 84 months Department of Corrections. I just remember kind of looking over at my granddad and my dad and my family, and they just kind of put their head down. And I'm thinking, man, I can't believe that I have come to this where my family is truly going to watch me walk out of here and I'm not coming home for maybe 7 or 8 years. Well, I asked the judge if I could talk to my lawyer because I just wasn't ready to sign. And I remember going out to court. It was in recess for we had 3 minutes. And I told him, man, what are we doing? Am I signing this? And he said, man, I have one option. He said, but the judge can go over 84 months. If you don't sign 84 months, the judge can go over that. I'm like, what is it? He goes, we plead to the judge. We said, we don't accept the offer. And we asked the judge to give us an offer. And I said, man, I could possibly get 10 or 15 years. He said, man, he could possibly go to 17.
Wow.
I'm like, man, dude. I said, well, let's plead to the judge, man, because I know my heart's pure in here, and I know I'm getting changed, man. And I said, but I have done some really bad things, you know. Man, we pleaded to that judge, and that judge said, all right, well, I'm going to sentence you right now, Mr. Mathews. And I go through the spiel, and I just remember looking down, and he said a speech and said, but I am gonna put you in Department of Corrections. I really do feel that you need some more time to heal and get your stuff right and this and that, and went on this spiel. And I just knew it was going to be a long time. And he was like, man, I'm going to give you 30 months Department of Corrections with 18 months felony probation.
Wow.
Wow.
And I was just like, and I had already done 9 months in the county jail. And he was like, your time here can be used for your DOC sentence. And I just remember looking at my family like, I'm still going to go away for almost 2 years, you know, but I'm coming home. And I know this is
45 years.
I know this is what God wants me to do, but man, I beat 45, I beat 17, and I didn't even get to 7. So I'm truly blessed. You know, like, Jody, just do the time, you can do it. But I had never been to prison, man. I was a hard ass. I loved to fight, and I'm thinking, man, I remember movies and stuff, you know? Big Dog was scared, man. Like, I wouldn't tell nobody, but I was thinking, what am I supposed to expect? I don't care who you are. Your first time when you go, it ain't cool. It's nerve wracking. Well, anyway, man, I remember going back and I remember kind of looking at my family and kind of nodding and stuff like, man, I love you guys, but I couldn't touch them. And I remember getting back that day, sitting there and thinking, man, God has truly blessed me. You know, like it could have been a lot worse.
If that's
man, I tell y'all what, man, I went to prison, man, really got close with God, really started working out. Man, when I got there, like I said, I got to jail. In March of 2007, I was 387 pounds, man. When I EOS December 23rd, 2009, right before 2010, man, I came home 6'3", 265 pounds shredded, man. I worked out 4 or 5 hours a day. I got close with God. I prayed and prayed and prayed. I ran Bible studies. That was an amazing feeling. I'd say this. I remember putting them street clothes on at 5:30 in the morning, and they let you sit in that cell till about 8:30. So I'm standing there in street clothes, knowing I'm getting EOS that morning. My family's coming to get me. My little nephew was with me. My ex-wife had Hunter and Logan back then, really wasn't talking to my family or me, so they didn't get to come, which was okay. I remember sitting there thinking with my stuff that, man, I'm fixing to get to walk out back in this real world. I remember just getting on my knees, squalling and praying, Lord, I thank you so much for this. I'm going to just get out here and keep you in my mind and pray and worship you and do all these things, right? They let me, I remember walking up with the warden to the gate, standing there with my bag, my little fresh Nike Shocks, my little polo shirt my mom and them had sent me, man. It was like, wow. You know, but still you think everybody knows who you are, but nobody knows who you are in street clothes. I remember the warden saying, hey, roll gate, looking at me and saying, Mathews, you've been one hell of a convict, buddy. Welcome back to the real world, and I hope I never see you again, man, and good luck. And the gate opened, and I stood there. He looks at me and goes, Mathews, welcome to the real world. And I'm like, can I go? He's like, you're free. And I couldn't take the step out the rack. You know what I mean? I was like institutionalized. I was like,
are you
okay.
sure?
And then I remember seeing my
sure
parents and my nephew, come walking to me. And I just started bawling, dude, like, wow, man. Because they hadn't seen me. Last time they seen me, I was close to 400. Now I'm 265. I really look good, man. And I felt good in my body. and my nephew was there, and my mom and dad, man, and I remember them taking me to Cracker Barrel. I thought everybody in there knew I was a prison. I'm looking around. They're like, "You good?" I'm like, "No." Like put my back against the wall, things like that. Well, I tell you what, man, I got home, and I tell you what, man, long story short, about 9 months later, I get home, get back into worldly things, start selling drugs, doing things, doing stupid shit.
Oh man.
And yeah, 9 months later, I remember coming by my mom's because I had got back with my ex, and we lived over by John's Lake. And I remember coming by one day, and I was high or something as hell, and I mean, you know how people act when they're on cocaine and shit. I mean, I didn't ever shut up. And my mom's like, "Hey, hey, hey." She's like, "What's going on with you?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Life's great." She's like, "No, it's not." You know what I mean? She was like, "You're not the same. You're back to your old ways. Da da da." And I'm like, "Well, stop being crazy."
Mm.
I remember her grabbing me like by my shoulders, and I'm a big fella. My mom's not all that big. I remember her grabbing me by the shoulders and shaking me and go, "Look at me." I remember taking my shades off, kind of lifting my hat up, and I was like, "What's up?" She was like, "Let me ask you a question." Ask away, Mom. When's the last time you prayed? I was like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah.
She was like, "I know you're not doing right. You want to read all your letters from prison? You want to do this?" And it hit me, man. Remember the last time I prayed 9 months later? Was
Yeah.
that morning on my knees in that prison cell getting out. The
Yeah.
worldly things had wrapped me up that quick. That
Yeah.
quick. Man, I got home. I remember after 9 months, my dad was like, "Son, you got to change your ways." And it hit me. I was like, "Man, they noticed it." Like I never noticed it.
Of course.
And because I had money doing things and just doing whatever I wanted, and I would always get the kids and drop them off to my mom and dad. Oh, they want to see Granny and Grant. They want to see Pawpaw, Mimi, and Pawpaw. Well, just drop them off on Friday. I'll pick you up Sunday. Well, they had power wheels. My parents are the most best grandparents you could ever imagine for the 3 grandsons they have. I mean, they're just amazing. It was amazing parents. So to me, I was being a great father. I'm letting you spend time with your grandkids. In all reality, I was dropping them off to go do whatever Jody wanted to do. You know what I mean? And that was go to hotels, do whatever, not be home. And then Dad come to me that day, the end of 2010, beginning of 2011, was like, "Son, man, you got to change your ways, bud." And my dad's not one to say much, man. He kind of naive a little bit, but a great guy, great father, man. Just I have awesome parents, like I'll always say that. And he sat me down. He's like, "Hey, man, let's. You still got your CDL?" He's like, "Why don't you let's get an 18-wheeler. Why don't you get on the road? Lindsay has custody of the kids, and why don't you become? You know what I mean? I had my CDL." And I said, "You know what, Dad? Sounds good." Well, man, my family and stuff and helped me. We got an 18-wheeler, and I got on the road, man. Started going on the road, really making good money, man. And oh my God, having that much money come in, and I really got in some deep stuff, and I started taking loads out to Texas and doing different things. And like I said, man, it kind of got wild for me back then. And man, like I said, my lifestyle back then, because nobody knew, you know what I mean? When you're driving a truck, you're by yourself. But I had to be real careful because my oldest son, Hunter, used to love to ride with me. And on those trips, I made sure I did nothing negative or nothing, you know what I mean? Because my son was with me. I would never jeopardize anything with my son. But you can only imagine, and being me with my personality and bubbly and a big old dude and tatted up, this and that, it wasn't hard for me to meet the next dope boy. I mean, you can pick one out just like that. So I had met a few guys out there in Texas. And like I said, things got really crazy and haywire. And just started doing really bad shit again. Felt y'all, man, and just was the money was coming in. I had a little house. I had a little house over here in Winter Garden that I rented. I was never even home. I lived by myself back then because my girlfriend had left me and went to Alabama. And so anytime I was ever by myself, I was off the chain because if I was someone, I was so codependent on what they said. Like if they said, "Hey, you want to go eat?" I'd say wherever. I never made a decision. And that was just my codependency on how I lived, and then I learned about codependency, how it's a killer and how it does crazy things to you. But after that, I got custody of the boys in 2014. And in 2014, I started having problems with my leg. And I was on all these antibiotics and stuff like that. I had MRSA come back in my leg from an injury from 1995 when I played high school football. And so I would stop really doing drugs and stuff, but I would drink a lot. But then once in a while, if somebody called or whatever, I wouldn't mind doing some cocaine or some ecstasy or Adderall started becoming big. Like I went to the doctor and got a script of Adderall and stuff like that. But I say around 2014, 2015, I got custody of Hunter and Logan. Me and my ex split up. I moved back home with my family and Winter Garden, and was going to stay here for a few months, to see what was going on, to find this other place. Me and my ex were arguing a lot, and plus I was not doing what I was supposed to. I was drinking and acting a fool, and lost a job, failed a drug screen, and just all kind of negative stuff again. And so I got custody of the boys in 2014. She really had to straighten up, because I got custody of my kids, and I'm thinking, holy shit, man, I haven't had them in a long time, so what am I supposed to do here? So, but it didn't slow me down at all, because my mom was just a big help. She did all the stuff for schools, took them to get the school clothes, the school shopping. I mean, she loved all that. Meet the teacher. I would go if I wasn't drinking. A lot of times if she smelled the alcohol and stuff, she'd be like, you can't go. I was out of control, man. I got my first DUI in 2015. I've had 3 of them. I got 3 in 7 years, or 3 in 5 years, matter of fact. My life was just totally spiraling out of control. I just didn't understand what right from wrong was and what wrong is right. I always did whatever Jody wanted to do. I was very selfish, playing the victim role. I made everybody else feel they was doing wrong. Very conniving, could always get my way. And I was a pathological liar. If I told you I'd be there in 10 minutes, hell, I might be a Daytona. Always, even when the truth was right, I was a pathological liar. And it went like that, man, for years. And then in 2016, I had a girlfriend, and I remember a buddy of mine wanted me to watch his house, and I had pick lines in my arm because I had a boot. I'd done lost the end of my foot from this MRSA, and it's all from an injury from football. And I remember watching his house in July 4th, so I think it was 2016, and it was the first time I had contemplated really suicide, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't want to live anymore. I knew my kids would be fine. They were with my family. And so my buddy, Eric, had asked me to watch his house while and even my youngest son went with them on vacation for July 4th for a week. And he was like, hey, man, your home nurse can come to my house. I was taking 3 and 4 IV bags a day with a pole. So my life was shitty. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll be over there by myself. And so when I got over there, they left. I remember on top of the refrigerator was probably 15, 18, big refrigerator, 15 to 20 full bottles of liquor. And I said, bingo. I'm thinking to myself, I'm fixing a drink,
Yeah.
And in that 7 days, I finished off every bottle of liquor on top of that refrigerator.
Wow.
I went into what they call like a got home that day when my family picked me up in like an alcohol coma. I remember being home and I started really seeing things, and it was crazy. I remember seeing like all these different shapes and spheres, and I'm like, oh my God, like it was like the craziest trip I'd ever been on. But what it was is my kidneys were failing, my pancreas had shut down, my kidneys were functioning 0. So I was really hallucinating. But then all of a sudden, as I was hallucinating that night, I started seeing people. And that's where I go back to where they start talking about the Bible and demons. I say that they were put on me. And for Anytime I closed my eyes or a dark spot, like they would talk to me. My kids caught me talking back to them. Like they would go like in my face and you would feel the cold air. And I'm like, man, dude, like, and I would start yelling like, come to real life. Like I'll fight you, you know, like I wind up grabbing my Bible 17 hours later and going to a hospital over here in Lake County. And, walked in with the Bible. I had to tell my family, I'm like, hey man, there's demons all around us. I remember my mom just breaking down thinking, man, you are crazy. What's going on? And I'm like, Mom, I'm telling you, man, they're here to get me. And I remember them telling me like, yep, all you need to do is kill yourself, run out in front of a truck. And I was even contemplating like, man, if I could just jump in front of a semi or a truck, it's over, you know? And they're like, yeah, man, we've been waiting on you a long time. And I'm like, man, I believe in God. Like I was talking to them. My kids are like, man, Dad, who are you talking to? Yeah. And then they started saying, yeah, man, your kids are next. And I'm like, listen, dude.
Oh, hell
they
no.
knew yeah. And I'm just like, so I remember going to the hospital, walking in with a Bible. My dad was like, I remember my blood pressure, you guys, was like 250 over 140. My insides were totally shut down. They still to this day don't understand why my heart was beating. Well, I know why, man. You know what I'm saying? I have turned all that pain and suffering from 2016 into becoming who I am today. I beat that in 2016. Still didn't stop me from drinking. I was on vancomycin, Zyvox, cefepime, some of the strongest antibiotics you could have in your body to help kill the infection from 2014 to 2020, over 16 operations, 20 PICC lines in my arm for all this IV medicine, and it never slowed me down drinking alcohol. Because you know why? I told everybody I wouldn't take pain pills, so I'm just going to drink. So I didn't want to get hooked on the pain pills because they were giving me 180 of whatever I wanted, oxycodone 30s, Roxy 30s. I could have anything I wanted because I had burst in the bone. So it's one of the most painful things. So I would drink myself. Well, alcohol and those antibiotics will make you chemically crazy. And I had turned chemically crazy. And so what I would do, I would ride around and drink. I loved them 99s. It's like a 99 proof apple banana. I was a cheap drunk. And I would drink them till I just got obliviated every day. And from 2014, and I would work back then and just become a shitty employee. Had many opportunities, all those surgeries, man. My W-2s and stuff from 2014 to 20. I didn't make much money because I was always in the hospital dealing with MRSA, dealing with my life, how many times. But the main one I'll talk about, man, is that's about my life story when it comes to, I got 3 DUIs, got one in my driveway. Stupid stuff, just retarded DUIs. Huh?
How'd you get a DUI in your driveway?
Because I live beside the L house here in Winter Garden, and our driveway is beside it. It's a private drive, so I had drove down to pick up my I had drove down to look for a disability check that supposedly I was getting. I think it was far-fetched, but I opened my car door. I had a CLS 550 Mercedes, rims and tire system, playing the role type shit, big boy car, you know, dope boy car. Look at me. And it was very noticeable. It was white, had the staggered rims. Oh man, it was. So the restaurant's here, our driveway's here. I guess I opened the door and stuck my leg out when I still had my leg in my boot and laid my head back with my stereo jamming and fell asleep. Well, someone did a well call on me, and when they come up, I was not even in comprehension to talk to them. When I came to, they had me at the hospital. And yeah, that's how I got the third one. And I wind up having to get a lawyer. They got it knocked down. I've got 2 of the 3 knocked down the reckless wet. I had to give up my CDL for life. Take so many classes. I've probably taken 150 classes. I've had community service. But I do love the community service and giving back to my community anyway. So it all worked out in my favor on that part, because that's when I started, man, that I could make a difference, because everybody's wanting to hear my story. Everybody's like, damn, dude, all the shit you used to do, Jody, and you're still normal. And just giving hope to the hopeless, you know, and that's my whole life dream. But now I'll get into the part in 2020. I went on a 4-day bender. Well, Well, no, let me start how I started Sober as Swaggy in December of 2019. I got in major trouble at a gas station here locally. Got arrested. I got tased really bad. I was drunk, belligerent, tried to get the cops to shoot me. I thought that'd be a way to get rid of me. But instead of them, they all tased me. Wind up taking me down to get checked out mentally and then go to jail. I was in there for a few days, get bonded out, looking at some major charges. Again, through the power of prayer in the next 9 months, my charges get luckily dropped. That's how I say I know that your higher power is really looking out for you, because I had really started to change then. And what happened after that, my ex-girlfriend then had told me, she goes, I really want you to go to AA. She goes, you need help. And I had never been to AA in my life. Any DUI, I always Christmas tree that paper. Go to AA, you got to go to AA. Well, it's anonymous. So I did everything, cheated everything. I never went to AA. I'm thinking, man, AA is for low life people from the woods. You know, that's how I thought as a drunk, alcoholic, asshole, addict. Like, this ain't for me. I'm better. Well, anyways, she had told me, man, I really want you to go AA. I'm only going to stay with you if you go. And I remember that first day walking in the AA, I remember sitting outside the building. I'm like, man, I'm not walking in here. And she coached me in there and I went. And she also even went to Al-Anon, which was cool. I didn't know she had did it for a few weeks or a month or so, but I stayed sober for 105 days. But what was the coolest, let me back up. What was the coolest thing about AA? The first day I hated it. The first day I hated it. Yeah, y'all have to edit that. The first day I hated it. I got out of there and I wasn't fed of anything. I felt like going to drink after that. There was a buddy in there talking about shooting up heroin under a bridge. And I'm like, I'm at the wrong place. And well, I remember going back my second day, which was the next day. And he's one of my best friends to this day, and I can say his name, Derek Parker. We used to run and sell dope together for years. And he had moved up from Clewiston, Florida, up here to Winter Garden, Ocoee, and we sold drugs and did coke and shit together for many times. And I walked in that, and it's what we call the shed. I remember walking in that door, and when I opened the door, he was sitting there. And I'm like, whoa, what's up, dog? You know what I mean? Like, where you been? He's like, bro, I've been in here 7 years. Like, I hadn't seen him in 7 years. Well, he had been working the program for 7 years. That's why I hadn't saw him, you know? And so seeing him sit there is exactly what the doctor had ordered for me. That's what I needed to see. Someone I knew, someone that had been doing this program for 7 years. I'm like, shit. Well, I latched on to Derek. Derek latched on to me. Like, bro, stay in this circle. I got some cool buddies and cool friends to this day that are still in that red circle, I call it, you know, that keep me locked in. And man, me and Derek are, bro, from that day forward, we're totally locked in. And I remember on my second day, I was sitting there, and I always had to be in the cool group. I always had to be down. I always had to be that big dope boy. I always had to have the big ego, man. And I was thinking, how am I going to make getting sober cool, man? Like, how are we going to do this shit? Because this shit's kind of boring right now to me. Because I didn't realize how much I drank and did drugs, man. Because I'm thinking, dude, I am bored to death, you know? You don't realize how much alcohol you put in your body and how much cocaine you're snorting or whatever you're doing until you don't do it.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, man, I remember sitting there just like this, and I got my book just like this, a little leather book. And I remember sitting there and I wrote down, I was thinking, man, what's a cool word? Like, how can I make a cool word? And it just came, man. I was like, sober is swaggy. I was like, sober is swaggy. All one word, no word. Hashtag sober is swaggy. And I slid it over to Derek. And Derek's like, and if y'all can meet Derek, man, old Florida boy from Clewiston, man, he's funny as hell, bigger dude like me. And he's like, damn, dog, I like that, you know? And I'm like, I do too. And that's how Sober Swaggy began, man. I ain't shitting you. That easy, from 3 little words God put in my head. I wrote it down and slid it over to my boy. Now, if Derek would have said, hey, I don't like that, I'd have come up with something else, you know? But, man, I stayed in that. I stayed locked in. What's that?
Mom wants to come say hi.
Hey, how are you? How you doing?
How you doing?
Yes, ma'am, I'm doing good.
Yeah. See?
Está guapo.
Yes,
She's
ma'am.
Oh man, she be doing this sometimes.
Oh, it's all right. Here's a kiss for you, Ma.
Hoy te mando un
Oh.
beso.
A ver, aquí estoy.
There, she's ready.
I know, right?
So, man, I did that. I wrote that down, and here's what's crazy. It was going good. My boy Derek had so many years. He's one that I had reached out to you guys. He's going to reach out to you guys to tell his story. It's amazing. But anyway, I was in there 105 days, was on that pink cloud, doing my thing. Woke up one morning on that 105th day. Everything I said was a lie. About 9:30 in the morning, I was drinking and went on a 4-day bender.
Damn.
That was the 4-day bender ended June 22nd. All this time, I'm still fighting my leg, right? I remember waking up off all that stuff June 22nd. I remember thinking, man, wow, what have I done? I looked at my car. I had drove like 500 or 600 miles and don't remember driving any. Like they said I went from here to Daytona to Cocoa. I was blacked out this whole time. Somehow I wound up back in our driveway. How I did it, don't ask me because I remember nothing. And I was fighting infection. And I remember going to the hospital that day. I had about 102 fever, and I was thinking, man, I'm getting close to death here. I don't think I'm gonna make it. And I just remember really being sick and going to the hospital. I was in the hospital for man. I didn't get out of the hospital, I believe, till about September 1st. But in that hospital, man, when I went to the hospital, let me tell you all this story. When I went in, it was all during COVID, June, July. And COVID was busting down here in Florida. And the hospitals were full. I remember laying in the ER, them trying to get me a room for about 36 hours.
Wow.
I was so sick, man. They had me hooked up to oxygen. No one could be in there. They were waiting on the swab test from the COVID to come back because my temperature was 103. And I just remember laying there thinking, man, because they always told me if I got COVID with all the antibiotics I've ever been on and how my immune system's hammered from my leg, that I won't make it. And I remember when my family dropped me off that day before I walked in, I just told them, hey, man, I love you guys. I love you very much. And if I make it, I make it. And if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And I remember going in that hospital and laying there for that 36 hours and was just like thinking, I think this is it, because it started getting hard for me to breathe. But I was very sick. And what had happened, I had got the infection in my body had got in my bloodstream. And when I tell you, when you get sepsis or when you get MRSA and you have an infection in your body and it gets in your bloodstream, you're in for one hell of a freaking ride, man. And I truly wasn't ready for the next 12 days of what was going to happen to me. They put me on the COVID 4th floor ICU. Had oxygen full time in my nose. They were hitting me with 3 to 6 bags of oral antibiotics at a time. They were swabbing, jamming that thing in my nose. The first one came back negative. They're like, it's got to be it's got to be a positive. It's got to be a bad test. Your temperature is way over 103, which I was sick. They would hit me with all this antibiotics. After 4, 5, 6 days of this, when I would come to heavily medicated, I'd be like, hey, am I going to make it? Am I going to live? And they wouldn't answer you. You know what I mean? They would walk in there with like NASA suits, and they're like, man, just keep fighting. And I had a black nurse, man, a guy that would stay after with me and sit with me after and before his shift. And like, Jody, keep pushing, man. There's something about you that tells me God's got a purpose for you, this and that. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be here no more. I've given up. You guys, man, in that time with all the antibiotics, it had burnt me from the inside out. My face was blistered under my arms, between my legs. I looked like a lizard or a snake pin skilling. It was from all the antibiotics they would hit me with to try to shock my blood to get that shit out of my system. And they would hand me a blue bag. They would hook it up, hook the pick lines up. I had one in each arm, and your arteries go to your heart. And when they would start, man, you would grab that bag, and I didn't have nothing. And you would dry heave and just I was using the restroom on myself. I had no controls of my bowels. It was awful. And I remember there at the end, the 6th, 7th, and 8th day, when I grew up, my granny would always tell me, man, grandson, if you see the light, if you ever get in trouble, or if you're in an accident, or if you see that light, run to that light. That's God calling you home. And I've always remember that, man. And until this day, you know, even when I have surgery, you know, them big old bright lights, you know, it's like, man, it's kind of nerve wracking, you know, because I've been in major surgeries many a times, and probably 30 of them where I've been put to sleep, major surgeries. And it's like, you know, in there, it's all white, you know, and then they put that laughing gas or stuff. And you're like, man, is this it? You know, am I going to come to? Well, the 6th, 7th, and 8th day, at night, I would pray. I would say, God, I've had enough. Please show me that light. Let me see that light. I'm coming home. I want to come home. And I prayed and prayed and prayed every day. I'd wake up madder than hell. Like, why are you making me suffer, man? They'd wake up. They'd have to clean me up. I've done use the restroom on myself. I had no controls of anything in my body. I couldn't eat until they got all that in control. If they did, and I beat sepsis, then I had to go through the process of losing my leg and amputation. So I had to go through all this before I even went to the amputation table. So I'm like, man, I got to face this. Well, I prayed and prayed and prayed for them 3 and 4 days, man. If I see the light, I see the light, I see the light. Well, the 8th day, I remember waking up, you guys, and I remember waking up, pushing my tray on the floor. I had enough, man. I was crying. I couldn't breathe. The oxygen, you know, and I remember my buddy sitting there thinking, man, Jody, relax, man. You're going to beat this. I'm like, dude, it's day 8, man. There's no way I'm going to beat it. I have no controls of my bowels. I'm not going to beat this. And he was like, hey, man, your phone's been blowing up. Like, I wouldn't return calls. I had deactivated Facebook. I didn't do anything, man. And he said, somebody keep trying to send you something, man. And I remember saying, what is it, dude? Like, why? Who? And like I told you, I had a family friend named Shelly Hall, Shelly White now, that she's one of my first friends I ever had at 5, 6 years old from Beulah Baptist. Well, she had sent me a song. And this song, man, is, I'll tell you this. And she had sent me a song. He's like, man, she sent a song or something. You want to hear it? And he was like, pull it up. I'll pull it up. So I had him, gave him my code. He got it up. He's like, man, he was like, she sent you a song. Well, when he put the phone in front of my face, you know, because I was laying there all hooked up with the oxygen on my face. And I had been praying, I see the light, I see the light. You know what the name of the song was? It was I See the Light by Toby Mac.
I've heard that one.
And I'm like, I see the light by Toby Mac. And I remember sitting there and he was like, Jody, breathe. Jody, breathe. Because it was like my body. It was like the Holy Spirit or like it was sucking all this negative shit out of me, man. It was like, and he was like, Jody, breathe. Jody, breathe. I'm like, you know, like I couldn't really breathe. And he's like, bro, breathe, you know? And I was like, oh my God, I see the light. And I was like, God's talking to me. Like, how do you pray for 4 days? I see the light. I see the light. And the name of the song your friend sends you is I See the Light by Toby Mac. I remember hitting play, dude. And when I hit play, bro, I lost it. Every word to that song was my entire life for the last 24 years, man. Every song, how I had fought, how God had been there. Keep going. You're going through it. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I see the light. I'm here. I'm just like, holy shit. Like, here we go. Like, he's not done with me. And the whole time I was praying to go, but then and only then did he have my God of understanding, Jesus Christ, God have my total undivided attention. 1,000. I don't want to be here no more, God. I'm done. Take me out. Take me home. Listening to that the next morning, man, I started moving my arms. I started getting stronger. They're like, Jody, man. And it gave me this fire inside of me. They're like, man, you're starting to turn the corner, all within 8 to 10 hours of that day after listening to that song. And I'm just like, holy cow. Like, he just talked to me in a way that no one other could than my higher power speak to me. And I to this day, that song, when I go speak and I share my story and we go out and talk, when I get to this part right here and I say it, I play this song, and it just, when I say the rim of that room, the emotion, you can almost feel the tears and the emotion when I explain that and then play that song and they hear what I heard. Because when I come back to talk, I'm emotional too. That song Shelly Hall sent me that morning helped truly find my purpose in life, give me the hope that I needed down and out, that I wanted to die, and keep going, all by one song by Toby Mac, I See the Light. Man, I got better. I had my leg amputated. I was in the room for like 4 weeks. I was so down after getting my leg amputated, mentally looking and seeing my leg gone, very depressed. My family out here, you truly don't know how much you're loved, and people are thinking of you. If anyone goes on my TikTok and sees the video where they finally take me to the glass window that day, I'm just begging to see outside, and my whole family and friends from town are standing down on the grass of the hospital, got signs everywhere saying, "We love you, Jody. You're doing amazing." Like, I lost it, dude. Like, I was like, wow. In your deepest, darkest hours of life, man, you truly figure out that the word hero or inspiration for someone you are and you don't know it. And I hate that, man, being called a hero, you guys. And I love to inspire, but I think those are just too big of words for somebody like me. Yeah. I mean, I do love to help each other and do things, but the thing like they did for me this week with the local radio stations, be called hometown hero and being voted from the town, is truly an honor. But thing for me, man, is to go through each obstacle that I had to go through, from selling drugs to facing a judge to getting letters of 45 years to 17 years to having to put my life in this judge's hands, but becoming the person I am today, truly is my higher power. And yeah. I give all glory to God, which is my God of understanding. And I hate the word religion, because I don't like religion. I have a relationship with my higher power, who's Jesus Christ. And I love God first and foremost before I love anything second, man. And it's the truly only way that I have faced my demons. I have faced every obstacle in Jody Mathews' life. Every obstacle that has come involving Sober as Swaggy with helping the next in line. God grants me the serenity every day to give a presence in these folks' life. And I'm thankful for each and every one that texts, calls, or listens to me, because they do the same for me. They're like, "Jody, how do you keep doing what you're doing?" Man, I found out I changed my pain into my purpose. I love to inspire. My desire to inspire someone is truly unreal. And my whole mission in life is, I love the front line, is to be the one that stops and talks to the man at Circle K, talks to the man I see walking in the woods, to give him a hug and help the next man in line. That's been my whole mission from day one. And to be recognized how we are around in my town and in Central Florida and different things with Sober as Swaggy, I hate the clout. This is a we thing. I believe we recover out loud. We do this as one, and we are one. And that's, guys, how I do this thing. And to this day, I'm very blessed and thankful for each and every one that's come in my life in recovery and sobriety. I love TikTok. I love Instagram. I love my Facebook family. And to come on this Blaklist Today podcast, man, to share a little bit about my story has been an absolute blessing, man.
Thank you. I actually wanted to ask you, what are you doing now? Because I know you, in your town, you recently got nominated as what? Tell us a little bit about that.
What is it now?
I know that recently in your town, you got nominated for what? As what?
Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, guys, I'm very big in Winter Garden. I'll tell you some stuff that's happened in the last 2 years, 26 months for me, that's happened in my town. I'm very, very proud of. I'll just give you some issues, man, or something. A year ago in August, Amy Quisenberry, who's one of the main journalists and main people for the West Orange Times here in Winter Garden, Central Florida area. It's a big newspaper. She had been following my story for years, and everybody knew who I was, the bad person. But I always portrayed good, you know. Everybody knew I had a big heart. Well, she hit me up last year at this time, right at my year date, June 22nd. She hit me up at the end of July, and she said, Jody, your story absolutely is amazing. It needs to be heard. It needs to be told. I love what you're doing for our town, because our towns here, Winter Garden and Oakwood, are very sick with the fentanyl epidemic. We've had 2 die last week, friends I went to school with. It's very, very bad, man. And I love to recover out loud. It's been my passion since God's put it in my heart. So last year at this time in August, if you guys want to look it up, West Orange Times, West Orange Observer, it's called From Dope to Hope. And she put a article. She came out, spent 4 hours out here at my house with me. We sat out front, sat under the oak trees, and I shared my whole story with her for 4 hours. Man, we laughed, we cried. She gave me a hug. She got to meet my dog Apollo, and she goes, Jody, I really want to do something special for you and special for the community, just to let people know that you can overcome, because everybody kind of knows you, who you are and stuff. And I said, man, that'd be great. Well, man, she hit me up that morning and she said, well, I put you in the paper, but I didn't know she was going to put me on the front page. And I was on the front page, man, my picture of me and Apollo. Said From Dope to Hope, got a little article. Then you went up page 4, and the whole section, man, was my story. It took me 10 days, y'all, to read my story. I can share it well. It's very hard at the beginning to kind of read what you've done, you know. And but man, the outpouring of love for my community is just truly unbelievable. Everywhere I go, I wear here's one of my shirts. It says, from prison walls to fellowship halls, we ain't the same, G. We have a little clothing line, Sober is Swaggy. I got Dope Dealer to Hope Dealer shirts. So after that, her putting us in the paper, and I want to say us and we, because they try to say I'm the face, which is, man, we all do this together. They put us in the paper, man, which was just, I have it in there, and I got some copies. It's just I'm having it box shadowed up. One of the biggest, to me, accomplishments in my life, because I really didn't have a career besides truck driving. So my career was selling dope and getting high, you know? So to get that after 24 years of doing what I did, some people may look at it stupid, but I think it's one of the biggest achievements to say after 24 years, I'm recovering addict. You know, I'm not healed. I'll never be healed, but I am recovering, you know? And so after that, we've been all over to Celebrate Recoveries to speak. And then I remember talking to Amy last year and hitting her up and then saying something about the Winter Garden Christmas Parade. We have a huge Christmas parade here in town, man, that I'm talking thousands and thousands of people come out, man. It's about a mile long. People from all over come to watch Winter Garden. Winter Garden's a really cool, neat town downtown. And so I put in the application, and Amy's like, put it in and see what they say. And told them that I talked with my partner back then and to see what kind of float could we come up with. I had to fill out an application. So you know how most of us addicts and alcoholics are, we're not a presence. We're not in your life, not in your kids' life. We're never there. So we come up with, let your presence be your present this year, and had a big banner made, bro. And we made this. If you go on my pages and stuff, social medias, man, you'll see the float we built. But we got approved. And I'm thinking, drug addicts and alcoholics, we just got approved for one of the biggest parades in Central Florida to recover out loud. And they're like, man, we need this. Well, man, let me tell y'all something, man. We built this float over here on the compound. People from all over came over. My buddy Bobby Teague's got the wood, went to Lowe's. Lowe's gave us like some of the wood on the house for like helping us. We had over 400 pounds of candy donated to us. We had a party on a Friday night where I got pizza and everybody put the float together, and I made a theme with a fireplace and 2 chairs, like a home theme. We had a Christmas tree. The float was killer. Man, we got in this parade. We get to this thing. We throw 400 pounds of candy. When we get in front of the judge, we play the song by Zach Williams, Rescue Story. It just resonates, man, because all these people on this float and everyone with us, my sons and 17 friends, walk behind the float wearing Sober as Swaggy shirts. It was a huge success, man. I remember a week later, I was doing something. I got a call. It said Winter Garden City, Winter Garden. I'm like, oh, boy. Man, I got the call, and we got 2nd place out of that whole freaking parade, dude.
There you go.
For a float. And I got the trophy in there, and now we're gonna do the Winter Garden and Ocoee Christmas parades this year, and we're gonna do a bike drive this year. It's amazing. So then that one was what was it? 3 days ago, I was sitting here, and my admin on my Sober Swaggy page, Angela Stein, had seen a thing where they have hometown heroes or hometown all-stars or hometown heroes. Somebody's making an impact on life in Central Florida. And she had hit me up, and she had put it on the page. She had said, hey, I can't block you from seeing this, but I would like to see if you could be recognized, Jody. You truly don't understand the impact, the inspiration you have. And like I said, man, okay, yes, I like it. You know what I mean? I enjoy it. I hate being called that, man, a hero, an inspiration. I do love to inspire. I'm so humble with it. I like to say it's all about us and we, you know. Well, they put it out there, man, and they put it on our website, and then somehow it started spreading through the town. And man, I was very blessed. She told me, I told her, I said, Angela, just to know I'm on the ballot, I'm honored. I'm very honored to think that 1 or 2 people or whoever would vote for me. I said, but do you know how big Orlando is? You know how big Central Florida is? Well, man, I had went to football practice with one of my best friends, Big Mike McGlynn, and I remember sitting in the car, and Angela called me. Well, she calls me all the time, and I was like, hey, she's like, what's up? She was, you sitting down? I'm like, yeah. What's going on? She's like, you ain't gonna believe this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she told me, she goes, you ain't gonna believe this. She goes, you got so many votes that tomorrow or today at 4:45 p.m. they're going to announce it. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, announce what? She said, man, you was picked as the hometown hero.
That's
Nice.
right.
Congrats.
And I made a TikTok, man. I'm not one to shed tears too much, man, or let people see them, but I want people to realize that it's okay to be emotional. And I've truly never felt love to know like that, you know, like to make a difference in Central Florida with Sober as Swaggy, and then them to even say how many votes I got, and then people are hitting me up. Like I have a huge following on Facebook, but to have 600 or 700 likes on a post, I've never had that many, or 400 comments, and just things like that, man, that truly. And I didn't even know some of these people, you know, they're like, man, you don't understand. They're like, we see you out, but you know, I said, man, if you see me, come talk to me. I'm so approachable. Like, I'm not anybody. I'm just recovering out loud. I love Jesus, and I love being sober. Talk to me. Like, if I don't know you, I don't know you, but I'll get to know you, you know. But that honor the other day, guys, was something that and it has taken off. With that, I got that, and now I got some things working out now with a disc jockey with K92 FM about a podcast there. I just had you guys' podcast. What's so crazy, as soon as I get off this one with you, I got to get on one with a buddy of mine from Tampa with the Voice Acting Institute with him and his coaches. It's really just starting to fall all into place for me. And, man, I'm just a regular person just like you guys. I don't do this for clout. I do this for that. I do what I do, not for me, but for the sick and suffering, man. I don't do this for me. I do this for that one person that needs to pick me up, a hug or a slap on the back saying, bud, it's going to be okay. I love you, man. And I always say that, man. A lot of people kind of look at me crazy, but I don't never know when God says, big boy, it's your time to come home. But my main goal in life is to do what I do here, what I'm doing, and to help everyone I can. But the greatest gift I can get in life is when I get called home and I get to stand there before God, and God will look at me and say, faithful, way to be a faithful servant. That's my whole life mission. I want to have that seat in heaven, and I want to be happy all the time. And because this world's a nasty, nasty place, and I just wanted to keep pushing and be the best version of myself. And like you guys, man, what you guys are doing on the Blaklist is totally amazing. And for us to be able to get on here and share our story and to open up and be vulnerable and to let people know, hey, man, I've done some very, very dumb things. It's okay. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. We got to be a voice.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. It doesn't matter what walk of life you came from, because drugs, honestly, they don't care. They don't judge who you are, where you come from, who your family is. It'll come for you. So the fact that you were able to turn your life around, that to me, and I always say it, that's the most gangster shit anybody can do. Yep. That is the most gangster shit anybody
Yeah, I'm totally with the gangster shit, man. A lot of my people call me OG and all that, and old school gangster, man. I tell you what, dude, I'm an OG. I'm a gangster for God, and I'm a gangster for recovery. So if they want to talk about that, I am. And we're tied in with a lot of other groups here in Central Florida, and it's just been a blessing. And like I said, anything we can do for the Blaklist, each one of you, man, you'd be more than welcome to reach out. You guys can post away on my Sober Swaggy or anything. I'll help share your stuff on my regular page. Anything I can do, any platform, you guys, man, if we keep continuing to do this one person at a time, one episode at a time, we're going to get out there, man. And that's the whole good thing about recovery and the Blaklist and Sober Swaggy, man, is this is all about we, because we couldn't do it without someone else listening to us.
Exactly. And that's the thing, it's like we gotta realize why we're doing this. We're not doing this for us. We're doing it for everybody else that that doesn't have, that doesn't feel that support and that love. And that's why we're doing it. We're not doing it for us, for our fame and our clout or any of that. We're doing it to help the lost.
This ain't a clout type of person, you know what I mean? That's why I try to tell them, like, man, you're being known, you're being this, you're being that. And it's like, man, we're being recognized for recovery, man.
Exactly.
And if you're going to recognize me for recovery, then my job's being done.
Yep.
If you think of Jody and you think of Sober Swaggy and you think of sobriety and recovery, then our job's being done. And that's why we do what we do. If you think of Blaklist podcast, and man, I can't wait to hear the next episode of someone's story of overcoming, our job's being done.
Exactly.
And that's why we do what we do, man.
Absolutely.
Well, Jody, definitely appreciate you, hopping on with us, man. You definitely got a story to tell. We're going to wrap up. What we're going to end up doing next is it's going to be for our Patreon only members. So we're going to do a unreleased Q&A with Jody. So if you we're about to end the public podcast now. If you want to hear the unreleased audio and see the video, head over to Patreon and subscribe. It's $5 a month, and you'll be able to get a bunch of extra things that you won't be able to get. So thank you, Jody, and thank you everyone for tuning in. And we'll post all his links in the bio section, and that way they can go and check you out.
Man, I really appreciate you guys, man.
Okay, but until next time, everybody, the Blaklist podcast, Jody Mathews signing out. Okay, so if you guys are listening now, you're one of our Patreon members. So we just kind of want to, I thought of a couple questions in my head. I'm sure Bonnie thought of a couple. This is just kind of help, a little bit extra engagement, a little incentive for people to hop on over to, hear a little bit extra that everyone else isn't getting. So I guess for me, I know you said you're big in the dope game. So, and as long as you're comfortable answering question, anything, man. So what was the craziest thing that ever happened? Was it what scared you? Was it when they shot that guy? Was that the craziest thing? Or like in your opinion, what was the craziest thing that ever happened to you? Like that's some cartel shit right there,
I'll go into detail with that, man. Yeah, man. We were down. He was one of our partners. He was down south, and he had robbed the Haitians for 10,000 ecstasy pills. And we had our tanks up here. And the crazy thing about it, man, was we had all the cash in our safe, and we had told him, dude, you got the money. Like, you didn't pay for one pill. And that's back then when pills were 10 for 200. So 10,000 ecstasy pills is a lot of pills. Well, what happened? Well, they set him up. They knew who did it. They set him up, had him at the strip club, had the girls feeding him liquor, and they showed up, took him out back at the strip club, bro, shot him execution style in the head.
Oh my gosh.
Cut his pecker off, stuck it in his mouth, and then sent us the picture of our homeboy.
Oh my gosh.
Talking about, hey, don't make the same mistake. I'm like, huh. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, dude. I told my boy, man, because when we were selling drugs back then, like we'd count out 75, 78,000. And I would say, hey, he's like, well, I'm only going to give them this. I said, bro, there's $150,000 in this safe, dude. Give them their freaking money, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we got the money, dude.
Yeah.
Give it to them. Like, I don't want to be having to sleep here and worry about one eye open, you know? And then the other, like I said, man, that was crazy. Then the one where we was walking into an apartment and they were inside the apartment. And when he opened the door, the buddy hit my buddy over the head with a sawed-off shotgun, split his head like a cantaloupe.
Wow.
And then I'm second, and buddy's like, and I mean, the barrel's like right there. So I went into immediate shock, and he's hollering. So I turned around and just start walking down the stairs because I'm thinking, at least if they shoot me or shoot me in the back, at least my family can have a funeral. I mean, I'm thinking I'm dead, dude.
Yeah.
This is it. And this was all over only $3,500.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, bro, you're gonna lose your life for $3,500.
They don't play around. They don't fucking play around at all.
I need to play around with. Well, that's for sure.
Like, I'm not gonna, like, I had a kind of a similar thing, Jody, when I was running. You know, I was in with some people from Mexico that I shouldn't have been with, you know. And man, I tell you, I walked in on the wrong time at the wrong place, and you know, they said this guy's either going to get shot in front of you right here because the hotel room was in my name, or you're putting him in your truck and taking him to the desert.
Oh,
Well, you know what I had to do? I didn't have a choice, you know, and it was one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to lie, that scared the shit out of me, you know, and I'm like, and this was a homie that we chilled with every day. So it's like, if they can do that to him, they can do it to me.
they will do that to
Bro, I
any-
left all my stuff, even my money in the safe, grabbed my big duffel bag that I carried with me, put all my clothes, left all my belongings, and I didn't even go back to get the money out of the safe. Come to my parents' home, was like, listen, that was it. They was like, what's wrong with you? Man, I was white ghost. I looked like Casper for 3 weeks. Like, I didn't leave the house. But and we had paid him. Like, he had finally paid him. I'm like, listen, I'm done, man. I said, man, they're not going to embarrass me like this. I mean, they didn't even care. Like, it was all over the news. Like, but who was going to say?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in that deep, I mean, them boys know what's going on. I'm thinking, dude, man, this apartment over here on Filkridge, this ain't gonna be part of Jody no more. And I said, bro, and that was your right hand man down there?
It's crazy, man.
I probably met him 10 times, you know, but he dealt with Miami. Because all the shit come over in motorcycle engines, dude. It was crazy to see the shit that I seen, man, and go down to Miami and see how these dudes operate. Like the dude that cut our cocaine, this old man, he didn't even have a nose. That's how much cocaine he snorted. He had a hole right here.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Because he cut the cocaine with acetone back then.
Wow.
So the acetone burnt his nose, his nostril. His nose was gone. It was a hole right here. So he would just, when he'd go, he just, I said, holy shit, dude.
How do you even snort after that?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, man, listen, he snorted so much he snorted his nose off, because I used to think there's no possible way someone can snort their nose off, dude. He snorted it. He had take your nose and remove it right here. There was a hole.
Wow. Apparently it is possible.
Yeah, with acetone, because the acetone is like, come on. Hell, acetone cleans. I mean,
what would you say, man? I mean, and this ain't nothing to brag about, but what it is it shows the true shit. People think that out there, you know, they think this is cool and it's not, you know. But like, how much money do you think you made over time, man?
Man, hey, glad you asked that. I'll tell you something that I did at a class 3 weeks ago on a Thursday night. I got class night that I go teach and help from 6:30 to 7:30 drug and alcohol class.
Yeah.
We did this rap sheet. I can't say how much money total made, but we did the rap sheet how much revenue I probably lost.
Yeah.
Because of DUIs and all that. And just a low ballpark figure me and my teacher figured out in the 20 years of lawyers, everything that she asked, we add up, man, was 3.7 million.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a loss. So
And that's a loss.
You can only imagine what you gained. Oh my God.
Man, I tell you what, dude. Hey, you know what's shitty to say about this? I'll tell the people, these patrons that are on here right now, you know what's shitty about all this is I got nothing to show for any of my drug dealing days, except some jewelry. Nothing to show, man. Nothing to truly say, hey, didn't buy no properties, didn't buy anything, man, but 5-star hotel rooms, and would go to the bar, and would my bar tab alone on a Friday night would anywhere from $500 to $1,000. But then I'd get a wild hair up my ass and see some chicks or something, and then buy the whole bar rounds and dumb shit, man. The loss of revenue, bro, is like 3.7 million, and that's just going to say, like right now at 45 years old, bro, thinking, man, what am I gonna do? Like, I would be totally straight right now if I had put just the loss of revenue in 401k.
Yeah,
it'd be doubled.
It's like, if you're gonna do this, at least be smart about it, you know.
Nobody does that though, but nobody does that.
No, it's all about buying fancy cars, buying jewelry, buying this, buying that. I mean, that's what I did, and I lost it all as quick as I got it, you know. And it's like, what do you have now? You got nothing to show. Now we're sober, so that's everything. But you know, materialistically, we ain't got shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Nope.
But
I tell you what, man, going through all that stages in my life and really going through, because I'm fighting disability right now to this day, right as we're talking. And I haven't received, this will be a good one for you guys. I haven't received a paycheck since March 11th of 2021. Yet, my higher power, I've never needed for nothing, bro.
Wow. Provides every single time.
Bro, I'll be down to my last $22 or something in my account. I ain't got no problem telling somebody, man, because I don't try to be nobody. I ain't no more.
Yeah.
Be down to my last $22 knowing, hey, I got dip money, I got food, and I got a house over my head. We got cars.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to go out to eat fancy or do something just with the kids, I can't. And then all of a sudden, man, something will come through, or somebody will donate to Sober Swaggy and say, hey, man, something's putting it on my heart to help you in your movement. If you need it for you, because we know you're struggling, use it for you. And they'll cash out $50, cash out $100. And I'm just like,
there you go.
How many times has that happened?
Yeah.
And then one day, I tell you how God works when it comes to money, Jared. I had my last $20. Matter of fact, I didn't have no money. I had to go sell some shirts. I had like 6 shirts to sell, $20 a piece. That's $120. But I had to go make my runs around town. I went and dropped my shirt off over to my buddy in Apopka's house, Big Todd Peterson. He was like, bro, I'm going to give you $40 for that shirt. And I'm like, no, dog, you're my boy. I just give me 20. He's like, nope, I'm going to give you 40. I had $40. I had fuel in the truck. A friend of mine had reached out to me weeks before and said, man, my brother's one of the homeless guys that you've been talking to out here, because we went and fed the homeless at Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I don't know who he is. And she said, well, his name's this. And if you see him, go talk to him, bro. I leave Apopka. This is 2 weeks later. I leave Apopka. I'm coming through back ways through Apopka, and I come up to a 7-Eleven, and something in my head says, hey, look to the right. I'm sitting there. I got $40. I look to the right. I see a dude on a bicycle. I don't say nothing. I turn right. Something on my mind says, turn in there and talk to him. I take a right, pull up to him. I said, hey, man. He goes, are you Jody? I'm like, yeah, man. He goes, man, I'm so-and-so. My sister's been telling me about you, man. And I'm like, whoa. So I get off. I start talking to him. He just got out of the hospital. He's like 6 days sober. And I always got sober at Swaggy bracelets. And I had my personal one, a big wide one. He was like, man, I love that bracelet. I was like, man, I took it off my wrist. Something said he'd give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it to him. He was like, man, I'm hungry. I said, bro, perfect. I'm like, man, I can't give this dude 20 of this $40. I ain't got but 40 in my mind, you know. I'm thinking I can't give this dude 20. I ain't got but 40. Man, I sat there, and as he's talking to me, I'm praying. I said, God, do I give him 20? He said, man, give him 20. Like, it's like in my mind, give him 20. Make him go into the let him see. Make sure he goes in that store and buys food. Man, I gave him $20. He went in the store, came out. He also had a frozen turkey. He was like, man, can I give you this frozen turkey? I said, no, buddy. He's like, I got no way to cook it. Somebody had given him a frozen turkey. And he went in there and bought $20 at the 7-Eleven. So when I pulled off there, the little devil kind of hit me. He's like, damn, man, you just gave $20 that $40 away. I'm thinking, damn, I damn sure did. So I had to go meet my dog I had to go meet my homeboy over here at the gym. And I go meet my buddy Pete. And we're standing there. I meet up with him, and I was telling him that. And before I got out, we started talking, and I was thinking, man, I'm selling him a shirt and or 2 shirts. And I was like, damn, man, this is cool. And I'm gonna get $40, so I'm good. And as we're talking, because I've known Pete all the way back from Calvary, we grew up together. Big old guy, man. Pete is too. And so I was like, here's your 2 shirts, man. He come around the corner, and he had something in his hand. He was like, bro, I just want to bless you today, man. He goes, I love what you're doing, this and that. And hands me 2 $100 bills.
Dang.
Wow.
You see how God truly works, man. I had 40. I gave 20 away. Was a little down, but I truly helped someone. Left in 20 minutes after talking to one to be blessed for 2 shirts with $200.
Yeah.
It's
Man,
because you
can't tell me
listened.
my higher power ain't real,
But
man.
you were
Who
obedient.
else? You know what I'm saying?
You were obedient, man.
Being obedient. And that's the word, bro. If you're obedient and God knows your heart and you're pure and you're sincere, I'm not saying I don't lie now.
Right.
But I'm saying 90% of what I do is pure out of love. Now, man, I get excited too. I curse like a sailor. I might tell someone to F off, but bro, within 2 seconds, I'm saying, man, I'm sorry, bro. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Come here. I didn't mean that. And that's one thing I'm still working on. Because I'm a mouthy dude, man. And I didn't mouth off back in the day.
Yeah.
I would just knock your ass out. I didn't have a problem knocking your teeth out.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived for that type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
But these days, man. And then I went through the part of I lived a sorry life. Everything I did with every old lady, hey, babe, sorry. I'm like, bro, I got these sorry-ass relationships because I'm just a sorry human. And everything I did, I would ask for forgiveness. When the sorry meant nothing, just I knew she'd stick around. Well, every one of my ladies I've had, I've lost to sorry. I'm single today. I'm not alone. God knows my heart. God will bring someone into my life, you know what I mean, when God's ready. And that's how I live my life today. And I'm very blessed at who I've become and who I am. And I love looking in the mirror and saying, boy, that's a big, sexy dude to myself, you know, because I'm very confident. I've never had a problem. I'm confident with my leg, you know, and it's not being conceited. I'm not being conceited.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm happy who I am.
Didn't know your age?
Yeah, estoy.
I'm not talking about
Mama.
I got a girlfriend.
Mama.
She said, here I am.
Dang.
So, Bonnie, you do you got anything? We're gonna have to jump off here shortly, anyways, because we got our live at 12. But Bonnie, you got anything?
I was just gonna ask you when he was saying that when he got out of prison, you know, from beating those 45, how'd you go from like going through it? Because that was hard, just even thinking at one point you were gonna fucking do 35 in jail. I'm just thinking, how'd you from that, surviving that and getting and overcoming that, how'd you go back to the same shit?
Yeah.
Just I stopped praying, man. I lost all contact with my higher power. I got into worldly things real quick. I come out here 265, was looking good. Within 1 year, I was back up to 350, eating McDonald's, not training. Got into drinking beer, got around my homeboys, and just totally forgot. I let the world take me over like it always does everybody else. Like I'm not perfect, and I got stuck back in that same shit all the way to June of 2020.
And that's
the next 10 years.
That's exactly what I wanted to point out. When you lose God or your higher power, whatever it is to you, that's when you start going off the deep end.
Yep.
Everything that comes after that, once you lose that touch with him, is gonna lead you right back down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Here, I'll end with this right here for the people that's in here. For about prayer. If you don't stay in contact with your higher power and you don't pray, how can God answer your prayers?
Yeah.
Period.
No, I agree.
Period.
That
1,000.
Mhm.
And when you pray, don't pray and say, God, I need this. Pray and ask God, give you what he thinks you need.
Exactly.
Different.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's all I can tell you, man.
Yep. Because they say at the end of the day, man, they say you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, you know? And
It's
that's
amazing feeling, man.
that's exactly how it is, you know?
You will
So,
get what you need when you need it. You know, God won't
Yep.
ever give you anything on your terms. You have to accept the fact that things will come to you on his terms. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. And that's all
Yep.
we need to learn to accept.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, Jody. Well, definitely appreciate you coming on.
Man,
Thank
enjoyed
you,
it.
everybody, for listening.